If you want to understand them more, you need to understand you more.
Hey, I'm Kathleen Rumford from Katalytic Empowerment, where we delve into topics for parents and homeschoolers. And in this 6-part Katalytic Empowerment series, we'll be learning from our guest, Donnie Fitzpatrick, who you just briefly heard. In this Part 5 episode, Donnie addresses the question of how can parents show up in a way that creates a safe space for their kids to share things with them, and how with his students, he took away a key roadblock or fear preventing them from engaging and thus allowing them to share more authentically. Let's rejoin Donnie now.
I'm gonna share two things. I'm gonna digress a little bit, and I'm gonna bring it right back around to the question that you asked. I had a course 3 years ago. It was with kids from grade 10, 11, and 12. And the whole purpose of the course was our province was going through a restructuring of what we wanted kids to learn, but they weren't telling us what they had to learn. They were just saying, you guys go figure it out. So I had 40 children, me and my buddy Wayne, he was another teacher. He's retired now. And we had 40 students, and it was a super diverse group. So we had kids in there that were African-American. We had kids in there that were Indigenous. We had kids in there that were transitioning between genders. We had kids that had been homeschooled, were coming back. We had kids that were at the Christian school who now had joined us. It was a really cool, diverse group. Having gone through a whole semester, so from September all the way to January, every day we dug and dug and dug to create a curriculum that would be a reflection of what students were wanting. There was two big things that came out in that thing. One was, and we've already alluded to this, is that Mr. Fitz, you guys talk to us all the time about what we're going to do. I don't know how to get through right now. So like we can be talking about that, but I don't know. I need skills right now. So that's where we came into that human being, human doing thing. Because we're always so geared on do, checkbox. And then it's like, okay, but we're not actually sitting in the pocket with them. So that was a big shift. The other one that was really interesting as well was I had seen this thing on Facebook, and it was a picture of an island. And on this island, it said, if this was your island, what would the one rule be? And so I went to school and I took the same picture and I punked it up on the wall and I said, hey guys, okay, cool. So this is your island. You can have anything you want. What would it be? And so they're all saying these things and we're joking around. It's funny. And they're goofing around and it's like, okay, cool. So now let's take a look at, this was your school. What's the one rule, mandatory rule that you guys want? So I'm thinking this is going to be really interesting. And I just let it go because I didn't want to get in there and try and you just want to give them the space. So I'm like, are they going to say no homework? Are they going to say we want to start school later? Well, what's it going to be? And this is what they came up with. And this was consensus. We spent 4 days with them going back and forth, pros and cons, why this, why that. The runner-up was mental health days. They wanted kids to be able to have mental health days where they weren't going to be punished. And by the way, these were like, we had a real strong group of like kids that were killing it and winning all the awards in the school in this group as well. So it was a really wide range. And then some that were really struggling. But this was the thing. They said it's mandatory that every student sees a counselor at least once a semester. And I was like, holy smokes. That's your guys' one rule. Yeah. It's like, why? What? Like, to explain this to me. Like, why? How did you guys come up with this? And so they started sharing it's like, you guys don't know what's going on. Like, you think you do, but you don't really know because you're not taking the time. So we just know how to like get past all of it. So I was like, okay, interesting. So now I'm going to go all the way back to the question that you said about like, how do we create this, this situation between parents and kids? And this was a game changer for me. And kids have told me that it's a game changer for them. And it's not that difficult, but it makes a lot of sense. In high school, When I was in high school, like I told you, all I did was I just wanted to play basketball. I skipped tons and tons and tons of school. I hadn't read a book. Okay. Like I hadn't even read a book. I had not read a book from the time that I started school all the way to the time that I graduated. None. I get to college, I tank. Like I go home. I'm homesick. I go home after a month. I try it again. And then the second time around, I meet this fella who is teaching philosophy, and I love this. He goes, I'm sitting there like, I'm just thinking, we got practice later. I want to go to practice. And then he said this. He had these bowling shoes on, and he shuffled around the floor. He's like, you guys, in this class, you can't be wrong. And it was a philosophy class. And he walks over to this table, and we had these big, long orange tables. And he taps on the table and he goes, if you say that this table here is green, then you're right. And I was like, what is he talking about? But he got my attention. As a person who, even if you're struggling in the background and nobody knows, there is something hugely liberating about someone saying, you can't be wrong. And so with all of my classes and with parents, I really encourage too, realize that there's certain things where they're subject oriented, where you do have to get information in, but on all the stuff that you're pulling out, just don't make them wrong. And that, it might seem oversimplified, but when I ask kids and we do our reviews at the end of every course, that is the thing that they say over and over and over and over and over again. We couldn't be wrong. So what that does is it allows them to start talking, hear other people talk, and then they start to build this little quiet confidence within themselves. And why that's important is because you can't have kids make good decisions if they can't self-advocate. Mm-hmm. And kids cannot self-advocate if they're critically in their own mind, always chopping down every single thing that they're thinking, or if they always think that, oh, if I'm wrong, I don't want to be, I'll be embarrassed. And so they never get a chance to actually get that out. Self-advocacy is so important. And when you look at people later in life and when we're struggling with things, so much of it has to do with boundaries and not knowing how to speak up for ourselves and who it is that I actually am. And so our job, I believe, at least the way I approach it, not everybody else, but the way I approach it, and I've had pretty good results, is you're not wrong. We're just going to pull this out. You guys bang the ideas around. You hear things. It's like, oh, okay. And it's always, you can feed off of that. Nobody's wrong here. Let's just, and then you celebrate the shifts. And then kids start, you know what? I started out here and then I'm actually here now. Cool. That's awesome. Okay. But so how do I write that down so you can give me a mark? I'm like, dude, you just did it, because it's the process of learning, not the actual end result of this is the right thing.
To watch the series finale, please join us for part 6, where Donnie summarizes how creating the mindset of being strong in who you are as a person and you can't be wrong allows students or anyone to feel better about themselves and more confident in engaging and self-advocating. By providing his students a safe space to share and process their ideas and beliefs, he engages them as human beings rather than human doings. As always, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and check out the description for relevant links to resources around this topic. Till next time, take care and God bless.